It's going to affect everyone, and we should be thankful that the fact is the healthcare system was not overwhelmed. That's the point. That's the point that you should be paying attention to. Is the healthcare system being overwhelmed in your community? Yes or no? If the answer is no, then quarantines are a waste of time. Stoic philosophers were always of the opinion that you should always, in any given situation, look at the basic principles of what is going on. Try to bring it all down, boil it all down to just the basics of any situation. Earlier this year, we started off with this COVID-19 pandemic, so-called pandemic. And it came out of China, out of Wuhan. It was likely created in some laboratory, and it got away from them. It infected a bunch of people in Wuhan, China, and then the rest of China. A lot of people died in China. Then it spread to Italy and then Spain. And in those countries, a lot more people died. And everybody got freaked out. And in March of this year, mid-March, there was basically a global lockdown. What was the global lockdown? Everybody stayed at home. Nobody could go out. Now, in some countries, this was enforced by the police. In other countries, it was voluntary. Here in Holland, for instance, it was voluntary. I could walk down the street whenever I wanted to. In fact, I did. I went to the office, my office here every day. And it was a little bit eerie to be walking through Amsterdam, through the canals of Amsterdam, and there was nobody around. I was the only guy, right? But it was voluntary. Lots of times I'd see cops pass me by and they wouldn't say a word as I went on my way to the office, right? But in other countries, well, they arrest you and it was like a big hassle, right? But the issue is, what's the point of a quarantine? Huh? Well, quite simply, the point of a quarantine is to slow down the spread of disease. Not stop it, mind you. Slow it down. Because a virus, especially a respiratory virus like this, can't really be stopped, and it can't really be cured. You can't properly kill a virus. It's not even properly alive. That's why you can't, okay? So the whole idea of quarantines, of masks, which became implemented throughout the world, is not to stop the disease. It's merely to slow it down. Yeah, because the worry was that so many people would become infected at the same time and require emergency hospitalization that the hospital system, the healthcare system, would be overwhelmed by the number of cases going on if they were all simultaneous. I mean, think of it like this, everybody needs water, but if you drink 6 gallons of water in under an hour, you're gonna die, right? Yeah, but if you drink 6 gallons of water over like 3 days, you'll be fine. I mean, you'll pee a lot, but you won't die. It's the same principle. See, the healthcare system, if it has a steady number of patients, no problem. That is, if the curve of infection is flattened, the healthcare system will handle it fine. So that was the point of quarantines. That was the point of the masks. The quarantines and the masks were not an end in themselves. They were a means to an end. And the end was to not overwhelm the healthcare system because it was understood that this could not be stopped. But now over what? We're 7 months now at this rate? Yeah, 7 months. 7 months so far. And things have gone just topsy-turvy. People have gone out of their minds. The plot has most definitely been lost. Because people are looking at quarantines as an end in themselves. That you should quarantine in case you get the disease. You're going to get it. There is no way to stop it if you are to get it. Number one. Because it is impossible to have foolproof isolation of people. And it's not even something that you would want. If, the history books don't tell you, but part of the reason that all the people in North, Central, and South America died right after Columbus arrived is because they hadn't been exposed to all of the diseases that came from Asia and Africa and Europe, because the American continents had been isolated for millennia from Asia, Europe, and Africa. And so when those diseases finally arrived in 1492, it killed off 90% of the population because people didn't have the antibodies to cope with these diseases. That's the truth of the matter. Huh? And it could have been Columbus, it could have been anybody who had arrived. Eventually, this was the inevitable fate of all these poor people in the Americas. They didn't have antibodies. You have to get diseases so that you can build up antibodies. so that the next generation is healthy. And part of the cost of that, unfortunately, is that some people in this generation die as a result of this particular disease. That's the adult conception of disease. That's the normal approach and should be the healthy approach and the sensible approach. But people have lost the plot. People think now we have to have quarantines and masks, not to prevent our healthcare system from being overwhelmed, but as ends in themselves, because there is this insane notion that this disease can be stopped, that this disease can be cured, that nobody need ever get sick from this disease. And that's just stupid. It's just flat out stupid. Everybody is going to get sick or become infected by this disease. And the worst part is that serious this is, and I have nothing but compassion for those who have suffered and perhaps died from this disease. But frankly, it's not that serious. It's not an end of the world, Armageddon kind of, last days on earth kind of disease. And the people who principally get it, thank goodness, are older people. Unlike the 1918 Spanish influenza, which it horribly took the people in the flower of their youth, people in their late teens and their 20s and early 30s. Those were the people who suffered in the Spanish influenza, which is a tragedy. But today, the people who are suffering, and I feel nothing but sympathy for these people, but they are older people in their 80s or 70s, or people who have serious health problems, quite aside from COVID-19. And once they get COVID-19, what happens? Well, it just sort of like pushes them over the cliff, as it were. These people with severe cases of obesity, heart problems, diabetes, and other comorbidities. It's tragic, but it was their time. Yeah, because people have this weird idea that you can postpone death. You can't. That's just stupid. You cannot postpone death. Death is inevitable. For all of us, you and me included. And we might not like it, we might be scared of it, but to pretend that it's not going to happen, to pretend absurdly that you can stop it by way of quarantines, by way of masks, it's crazy. Anyway, what's the point of this video? The point of this video is that, see, you got to look at this whole quarantine situation. You got to look at this quarantine situation and understand what was the reason behind it initially and what it has turned into now. It's turned into insanity. I mean, look in Australia. Australia has become a police state. Australian police will arrest you if you go 1 yard beyond the 5 kilometer radius around your house, because they don't let you go any farther than that. There's no rhyme or reason to it. It's just 5 kilometers. And if you step 1 yard beyond that, you get arrested. If you say that you are critical of quarantining and masks, they go to your home and they arrest you. And they have done this. They've done this to pregnant women. They've done this. I'm not kidding. Look it up. They've done all kinds of craziness in Australia, and people aren't really paying attention, but in Australia they certainly are. And it's a nightmare. Their government has turned fascist, communist police state on them, totalitarian, over this fear of the disease that is going to affect everyone. It's going to affect everyone, and we should be thankful that the fact is the healthcare system was not overwhelmed. That's the point. That's the point that you should be paying attention to. Is the healthcare system being overwhelmed in your community? Yes or no? If the answer is no, then quarantines are a waste of time. They're a waste of time and incredibly destructive. Economically, socially, psychologically, in every regard, quarantines are incredibly destructive. The only justification for a quarantine is if the local healthcare system is truly overwhelmed with the number of cases. If it is not, if it has a few cases, but everything is copacetic and there's plenty of capacity for more, then there should be no quarantines. None whatsoever. And as to masks, masks don't work. The best masks can stop particles that are 0.4 microns in diameter. And a virus is 0.1 microns in diameter. Is 0.1 microns smaller than 0.4 microns? Yes, it is. Therefore, masks are a complete and utter waste of time. It's security theater. That's what it is. It's like these long lines at the TSA where they strip search, grandmothers and 10-year-olds to see if they carry a bomb. It's security theater. It doesn't make any sense. And why is this happening? Well, it's very easy. It's happening because politicians, number one, they want to appear to be doing something. They are fighting the fight against COVID. Yeah, fighting. Yeah. They want to appear to be doing something, number one. And of course, they want more power. Yeah. Because when you lock down a population, when you force people to do something, you acquire more power. And by way of that power, you can acquire a lot more money. The contracts that go to certain companies that provide masks, the contracts that go to other companies for other services, whatnot, that's a lot of power for a politician. A lot of potential money for that politician. That's why they're doing it. Because they're moral cowards. They're afraid to stand up and say what I'm saying to you now. And they want power and money on the backs of your suffering. If you're suffering in quarantine and you think that masks are stupid, and in fact, they are actually bad for your health. But anyway, if you're suffering under quarantine, if you're losing your job or your business because of your quarantine, and you're not standing up for yourself, then you have no one to blame but yourself. You should be in your community protesting against quarantines. You should look at the hospitals in your community and ask the basic question: is my healthcare system overwhelmed? If the answer is yes, then you should be quarantined to slow down the spread in your particular area. But if the answer is no, then a quarantine is not justified. And if you acquiesce to this quarantine, if you allow your career and your business to be ruined, if you allow yourself to be imprisoned in your own house, in your own apartment, in your own room, staring at the four walls and unable to leave while you slowly go insane, you have no one to blame but yourself. I mean, know that. Because we live in a democracy. In a democracy, it is a government of the people, by the people, for the people. The politicians ruled with the consent of the governed. You are the governed. If you do not like what's going on, stand up and make yourself heard. And if you don't stand up and you don't make yourself heard, then you have nobody to blame but yourself, and you have zero of my sympathy. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please check out my Patreon. Link is in the description below. There you will find over 130 videos that you will find nowhere else. Yeah, and these 130 odd videos, they are frankly too controversial for YouTube. So that's why I have them on there. So please go check it out. Link is in the description below. Thank you so much, and I will catch you next time.